Market recap for Tuesday, 11th of August 2026. It's been a minute, so I'm kind of like just warming up on paper. And let's just get into the day. Let me try to keep it quick and simple. I was watching this wick, the midpoint of it on Monday, we couldn't close above it. And then on Monday alone, we make this wick, right? And I was watching today if we can get to the midpoint and go above it or not. That's my main thing that I'm looking at. Under it, we have a fair value gap, but when we have a small fair value gap and we have a wick, I normally look at the midpoint of this wick, right? So these would be the lines that you're seeing, right, in like a higher time frame. So I'll get back to the lower time frame, explain them. That's all. That's it for the daily. Nothing else that I care about. In terms of the 4 hour, there's nothing really that I care about. And I mean, that is prominent for me to like write in the lower time frame, just structure wise. And once we get to the 1 hour, I'm just watching the same gap that we were rejecting from is here on Monday, and it delivered a slower, and then we went back into it again, and then potentially we could deliver lower. What I liked about this gap is that this high at 7 went to the lower quadrant of that daily wick. So initially I was like, you know what, we could deliver bearish initially, right? Because I had some targets lower, and then after that, looking at the midpoint of this week. Oh no, actually not this week. It's on the date. I'll show it later. That we could come back high after that, right? Because then we'd visit the daily fair value gap, blah blah blah, and right, and there would be a chance for us to reverse, right? Come take sell side and then go for the opposite direction. Because you can see that attempt failed, and then we delivered again lower. Okay. All right. Jump into the 1 minute, and what was the trade I was expecting? So we have London low. We had stack lows basically. It was London low, and if you're looking at regular trading hours, we are looking at this stack sell side, including our PM low from yesterday, and I do believe our AM low. No, it's just the PM low right here. AM and PM low, right? For Monday's price action. So the possibility of us just opening and then dumping was high, right? Because we had 4 stack liquidity below us, and the top liquidity is just relative equal highs. We don't really need to get to them. Especially that if we get to them, I would be more likely thinking that we'd go to this high, and I just didn't think we would get previous daily low, right? As in Monday's low, and then get previous daily high, as in Monday's high in the same day. So I was just more inclined to be bearish, right? So when the market opened, A just gave no chance, and then you already just dumped all the way to the TPs, leaving Asia low and whatever this low from Friday intact as relative equal lows. At the same time, ES had stacked relative equal lows. Let me just show it right here. As you can see, all of this was just stacked and we still didn't get any of them. So I was like, okay, NQ has done what it needed to do for the day in terms of delivering low once we get to that low, right? But ES hasn't. So I was like, I can't guarantee that this TP will hit today. So I need to go for something low. And what's that something low? Well, 9:30 we created technically our first presented fair value gap, even though it's 9:30. Why? Because of taking our initial liquidity, and it broke the structure, blah blah blah. That makes it 9:30 first presented fair value gap. So when we look at regular trading hours, I open our our opening range gap and I measured it, and that lines up. The midpoint lines up in the first presented fair value gap for me for today. So I took the long to that TP. What I didn't like about this long initially, and that's why I didn't take it earlier, is I wanted this to hit the midpoint of that wick on the daily that mentioned, but we didn't hit it and start going higher, which made me think that later there is possible to come back and take that low, especially that ES has them stacked lows. So um, I'm watching this wick, right? At 950, we come down, respect the wick with the bodies, as you can see, right? And I'm like, okay, that's nice, which makes this an order block, right? And I'm watching the midpoint and the mean threshold, hits it, goes back, right? Once it goes back, this becomes a proportion block, and that was my entry. Proportion block with a fair value gap, easy entry, stop loss is easy, right? And I wouldn't even expect it to like go to midpoint of it. So like it's just like an easy entry and a stop loss, right? To a target is 100 points or so, right? Goes there, fills me out, I'm done. I come back later, just I was just studying, right? And I seen that we were holding this, and this is what I expected us to push us higher, but we actually do fail, right? In terms of the first presented. If we look at the octans, right, we couldn't even reach the midpoint, right? We were at 0.625 and we just started falling down at the 1050 macro. So I was like, this gap, if it offered me here, I was going to take it as a short. It didn't, and it continued all the way down to the next PD array, which I do take the short right here. The second that it taps into it, I take the short going to this TP. I do remember that I had to go, so I kind of closed it here. It's not too bad because this is the low that I would expect it to be hit for the day. Anything after is just a plus, but this is what I expected for the day regardless. And if we hit this here earlier, I'd expect a full reversal on the day all the way to the highs. We didn't, so you know, it's an interesting day. I'd say the best setup was anywhere here if you trusted it fully with the CE. If you didn't trust it, watching the order block and the final one here, or even into this or whatever, right? Whatever long was the highest probability, I'd say, right? In terms of this day, the show was good, but there was just no entry that I would personally like and have a stop loss that I can guarantee wouldn't hit, right? I think that's it for this day. There's nothing I can explain. And in terms of the rest of the week, I do believe, let me just check. So we did close below this fair value gap, but I don't really count it, right? I would count this fair value gap really like once we hit the midpoint, right? So if we close below this midpoint, then I would be like, yeah, we're bearish. But this, I don't mind. I can still see us go up higher. So don't be too focused on like, oh, we close below this fair value gap, expect this to be inversion. Nah, not really yet for me, right? I would wait for a close below here to be like, okay, might go low. So tomorrow is a bit tricky, and CPI can do anything, and they could probably, because they're stacking up buy side, right? I wouldn't expect us to go down when they're stacking up buy side, right? We could go down for these, but you know, with wick higher, but this is the wick on the daily, and I would not expect it to go that low, right? I'm expecting this is just a slow consolidation to go higher. If not, then this might be a manipulation of like go lower. I could not really care less about predicting the days. I just care about the session and just getting that easy trade. So who cares what the market does anyway? That's the market recap. Actually, let me keep that on. Take pictures later. Peace out.